Okay, so in this episode we thought we would cover off a little bit about the ExplorOz Traveller App and the purpose of it, what it does, what its functions are. So we have touched on a few little comments in previous episodes for those listeners that have heard those. Oh my God, you've just got to have a look what's happening right now. We have two kangaroos. Look.
They're not on
You've
set.
just bounced into our set.
All right.
Someone take pictures. They're really cool.
We'll get a photo of those for you at home when you're listening to the blog, the thing.
I know. And also, I wish I could show listeners what we're sitting on right now, because this is a gorgeous big tree log.
They can see it on the video.
Okay.
Let's go.
This big tree log, I love the seat cut into it. So anyway, we thought we'd sit here today. The ExplorOz Traveller App was developed purely as a mechanism to enable anyone to have access to download the whole of Australia EOTopo maps so that you can carry them with you in your back pocket, on your phone, or on your tablet for the whole of Australia and have high resolution offline maps. Obviously, it works offline if you've got the maps downloaded, and it works offline to show your location on the map because you use a device like a phone that has a built-in GPS. There are a couple of devices for which you need to actually get an external GPS, things like Wi-Fi only iPads and laptops. But the app will work on all those devices. So it's as simple as having the GPS enabled device and downloading the offline maps, and you're right to go. Download it and it's all there. You don't have to do any of this selecting a portion of a map and then only having yourself restricted to that portion of the map while you're offline. You've got access to the whole of Australia. So those functions are what's built into the ExplorOz Traveller App. On top of that, all the content that we've been curating over the last 20 years on the website. These are the ExplorOz treks, of which there's almost 200 of those, and the 100,000 POI database, which we call ExplorOz Places. All that content is delivered free in the downloadables when you first set up the app. And obviously when you get an app, you're online, you're downloading the app through the App Store, and at the same time when you open the app, you're online and you're creating your account, you're logging in, and you do your downloads at that point. At that point, you can then go offline, and the ExplorOz Traveller app is designed that you can do all your looking at the map, looking where you are on the map, looking at what's around you on the map with those places, and having access to pre-planned navigation routes, which are ExplorOz treks, all offline, nothing more to do. But on top of that, there's even more features. And look, the app has actually become very complex and data rich because it's been used now for over 7 years by really hardcore Outback travellers, people that really are very enthusiastic about four-wheel drive travels. These are people that are regularly going out solo into the deserts and doing Cape York and the Kimberley and all the destinations that people want to go, and they are contributing back into it. So some of this information from these people was being put into our content even before we had the app available for people to use. They were using the facilities online on our website. So some of the content that you get in the app actually contains historical information that dates all the way back to around about 2006. I've been noticing some place comments. So we've got some enthusiastic travellers that have been to some remote places such as in the Rudall River National Park, talking about some really hardcore tracks that are very difficult to navigate, and looking at different soaks and springs, Aboriginal engravings and petroglyphs that they've found along the way that a lot of people don't know about and that don't exist. If you just are using our app and you're offline and you find yourself in a situation, you can just look around you when you've got the app in front of you, and it will show you these points of interest without you having made a concerted plan to actually go and research that yourself. And when you're offline, this information is all interactive. It has photos, it has comments, it's got all the updates. You know exactly what date the comment and the review for the place was put in. And those updates are very visible. Something we do quite differently to some of the other popular travel apps out there about this destination content that you see with these place markers on the map is that we don't use generic statements to say, this is a rest area, blah, blah, blah. We'll actually hand curate that information specific to that site. So it's just because it is a rest area doesn't mean it has a generic statement, and then you've got to go and read the reviews to find out what's unique about this spot compared to another spot that's a rest area. In our app, we'll actually give you hand-curated information. So it might tell you, oh, there's a memorial plaque to, you know, air over there, and you can go and have a read about it. It'll also tell you all the unique features, such as what wildlife might come, any of the historical information about early explorers that may have passed through there. And there's a lot of that information in the places just for the geography points of interest. A lot of Australia's mountains, a lot of people don't realise, have so much history behind them, and that's something that we really want to bring alive for the people that use our app, because when you travel, it's just not about getting to the destination, setting up camp and saying, woohoo, I tick my list, I've got here.
It is for some.
Sure, okay, I understand. But for a lot of people that become really involved in the travelling experience, it's more about, well, how do I open my eyes and really embrace what I'm experiencing here? It's not just I've driven 500 kilometres today. It's what did you experience along the way? Were you aware you were travelling in the footsteps of some of our early pioneers? How can you understand the hardships of people that lived in those days? What's that shack over there? You can actually go and tap an icon on our map and it'll tell you the history. So we've got certain icons that have a different symbol to describe what they are. So we have 74, I think, different POI types. One of them is historic site, for example. And so if you can see this brown circle with the letter H in it, that's a historic site. And you know, oh, if I tap that, I'm going to get some factual information, which I might find interesting. Look, you may not, that may not be for you. You may be more interested in going, oh, free camp. That's what I want to find out about. And so we have everything from free camps, paid camps, caravan parks, resorts, cabins, B&Bs, those type of things. We really don't focus so much on the more resort style accommodation that's in your capital city. So I can tell you right now, if you're looking for hotels in Surfers Paradise,
use another website.
Yeah, use another app. That's not what we're about, because there are other apps that provide that. We're not trying to duplicate or be a mainstream tourism travel app. This really is, the ExplorOz Traveller App is for people that are prepared to explore and travel and be really wanting to discover off the mainstream. And that's what we're focused on in terms of the content delivery and the supplied ExplorOz places.
I mean, it comes from our development, because in our previous discussions that we've had with you, you know, we've been saying how we've borne a lot of this based on our experience or what we've wanted or what we've needed. And one of the things that's very apparent, or it's certainly apparent to Michelle and I don't know how many people do this, but we don't travel with an agenda. When we go away, we just go, and we rely on our app exclusively to help us once we get out there. So, you know, instead of spending weeks and months before we go meticulously planning everywhere we're going to be each day, we just want to go to a certain location and then find out everything that's in that area that we can possibly do. And then we just move up the highway or move up the road a little bit further and do the same thing again. And so it lends itself to having all of that content directly accessible in your hand, everywhere where you are, all the time, no matter where you are, where it is in Australia. If it's decent and worth seeing, we hope you see it on our ExplorOz Traveller App. And that was kind of the intent of how we've built all of that.
Whilst we're quite different to other people, that's because we're fortunate and we work for ourselves. I mean, the reality of life for most people is they've only got 4 weeks annual leave. And these days we all know that advanced booking, even in a national park, even if it's a very basic bush camp, has to be booked ahead of time, or you'll turn up and there's no site, and that's really disappointing. And so I fully get why a lot of people are in a different situation to us. But I understand what Dave is trying to explain here. It is such that if your plans change, you've had a breakdown and, oh my God, the car's been put on the back of a truck and now you've got a hire car and you still want to continue your journey, you can abandon whatever the plan was and travel with confidence using our app, because without any planning and without being online, all the facts and information you need and all the routes are all there for you. We use something I need to explain here it comes up a lot of time, is the legend in the map, to understand what does it mean, what am I looking at. So the first thing people see is red lines on the map. Some are dashed or dotted lines and some are solid lines. So just very quickly, as a legend, every red road on the map, whether it's a solid line or a dash line, is a road or a track. So solid lines means it's sealed, bituminized tar. Roads, the red lines that are dashed or dotted, that means that's unsealed. Now, if you look carefully when you use the app, the thickness of these roads changes. So an unsealed road, as we all know, could be like a superhighway. That's called a primary unsealed road. And then you've got secondary unsealed roads, tertiary unsealed roads, and then it comes right down to really minor two-wheel bush tracks, of which you need a four-wheel drive. So the thickness of that dotted line, the thinner it gets, the more off-road, the more narrow, more minor the track is. So you can use that very quickly as a visual guide to understand what you're reading on the map. You don't need any other information to tell you about the road. So you can assert your
capabilities. I don't want to do any dashed lines, I only want the solid lines.
Yeah, so you just
follow
follow
it. Or I'm happy with Great Central Road, so it's a big, thick, line with dashes versus a little teeny-weeny line. You can be fairly confident that you're not going to end up on some horrible four-wheel drive, legendary thing when you're really just trying to navigate between two locations.
Yeah. The style sheet in our app, as we've mentioned in earlier podcast episodes that we've done, there's 260 data elements in the app, and roads is just one of those, okay? But I understand that roads is really important to people, but we have a legend that's dynamic, and what that means is you can tap the map when the dynamic legend is activated, which you do in the map layers, and anywhere that you tap your finger on the screen, a pop-up box will display a list of all the different data elements at that point. And so obviously if you're zoomed in and you've got super detail, you'll get less than if you're zoomed out, and because your fat finger is going to pop up a large area, if you understand what I mean. But this way you can see the legend definition, because we've got different colour coding for different land type uses, so native title versus state forest versus national parks. There's pink looking lakes versus blue looking lakes. Tap the legend and have a look at what that means. That will tell you straight away on the map screen. So those sorts of features are digital legend.
We need to talk about the tracking system. We haven't really gone through that within the Traveller app and the app component.
Yep, okay.
Turning on the tracking system. So one of the other things that we've always we've done for a number of years, even before the apps came out, we had a tracking service where people with different devices, and it started out with spot messengers and spot satellite services and things like that. Then there's inReach and a whole load of other ones. And we created an interface for those to basically allow family and friends to see where people are on a map of Australia using the EOTopo map. So I've got that nice detail and nice information available to show people's journeys using a tracking system.
But also as a backup.
People
want to have a
so it's automatically uploading and saving. So within the app itself, we have a tracking system. You can flick on a little switch, and every position that you touch as you move around will be sent to our server, and it'll be stored and be able to be rendered on a map or saved for future uses and things like that. The app is also always recording when it's open and when it's running. Every time you move around, there is a database being generated, or the positions are being saved within your device, and so that you can export those later. So I've gone for a great run around the park today. I can take my phone later and I can say, give me all the positions from today, and I can then see my little circle. So I can create a track. We call it a track log, and it's basically an output rendering or a version of that day's journey on a map that you can keep forever and use. So
but that's shareable too.
Yeah,
there's a lot you can do with that track log data.
Yeah, and so you can share those with other people. So if you've done this great journey, you can share it with your mate, and then he can go and do it the following weekend, looking at your line on the map to know where they're going. The app has lots of great features like that. As Michelle said earlier, we've got the places database, we've got the treks database, the track log database, which is what all those track records and people's uploaded GPX files and all of those things go into the track log system, the integrated tracking system. The app also gives you, no matter where you are and no matter where you are looking, it can give you the sunrise, sunset, moonset, moonrise times, and also dealing with all the time zones around the country. It works out which time it is in each of the time zones when you're looking at those
because we all want to know what time to stop,
Yeah,
so
well,
that we've got an hour to set up camp
it's 3
and
o'clock
have
in the
our
afternoon.
drinks.
We've got to find
Drinks
we've
and
got to find
nibbles,
somewhere to
sundowners.
stop. So, yeah, we've got to know what the time is, and we need to know. And it's also nice to know if you want a good sleep when the moon's going to rise. Should I put the I put the awning up, or should I not have the awning over my head because the moon's so bright in the middle of the night it keeps me awake?
Yep.
You know, important bits and pieces of information like that. So the app's got a lot of those bits and pieces built in. Obviously, we support within the app. You can put all your content into folders. You can, in your pre-planning phases, you can build folders of all the places you think you might want to see on your journey, and then you can look into that folder and display that on the map and work out how you're going to navigate between each of those. So, you know, the folder system.
The folder system's fantastic. And do you know who gave us that idea? Our son.
Was it?
Yeah, Leon gave that to us.
Okay.
He was using it and he said, Mum, you know what this app really needs? I need a way to tag and remember places that you've told me about that I want to go because I'm planning a trip in the future.
Yeah.
How am I going to remember that one?
Yeah.
I said straight away, that is the most brilliant idea, son. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he's so thrilled that
So
he
now
had
you
that
all have
input
folders
into it.
based on
Thanks, Leon.
our feedback.
Yeah, but that's been in the app for years now.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's lots and lots of layers of tools and features in the app. And, look, you don't have to use all those to use the app. In its most basic, simple form, the home screen is the map. And it recenters on your current location, locks on your current location, and follows you as you go. So
it shows you stuff around
that's the most simple way to use the app. If you want to do more than that, then have a play with it. And if you really want to delve into it, there is a user manual built into the app, which is a PDF file, which your device will open when you're offline, and you can just tap the index and jump to the section that interests you, or just type in a search and look for it. There's a few little tools, like you can actually draw a line using little dots all the way and trace all the way across a track, and it will tell you what distance that is, and you can do all that offline, so that calculates that for you. That's the ruler. Goodness me, we really love it when people create more places and tag them to the ExplorOz master system. So, you know, if you're travelling and you find a fantastic place that we don't yet have in the app, create that place yourself. We allow this to happen live in the app, and the reason for that is we actually verify all the content that comes in. We get email logs of every place and every update, and I get alerts, and we're right on top of that. We do say that we're the only people that run ExplorOz, but we actually do use some volunteers. We have some really awesome people that work in the back scenes, and of course I'm not going to embarrass them by giving any names. And over the years there's been probably 30, 40 different wonderful volunteers. And look, people come and go when it's at their own time of life, when this is something they want to do. And look, we're really, really thankful. We've had a fantastic number of volunteers contribute their time with us. And if anyone wants to get involved, just touch base with us. There's lots of little jobs that you can do. Things that interest you, whether you're a photographer or you're really interested in history. Tons of different things that can be done. If you've got a really good eye for detail and spelling mistakes is your big thing, or if you're just really interested in lakes and rivers and you just want to look at those places, or, I mean, it's endless, the possibilities. So tell us what you want to do, what you like, and I'm sure I can come up with a task that, you know, you might really enjoy doing for a short period of time that might fill in a gap for you in between a trip. I've got someone at the moment whose husband is waiting for surgery in hospital, and honestly she's just waiting for that for that surgery to be done for their trip to begin, and so she's contributing some time.
So at that time, you know, in all of those places that Michelle was alluding to before, you go into some of these places that we've got records for, and there's historical information and records and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, there's a wealth of information. There's more information in the app than we care to think about. There's hundreds of megabytes of content, 57,000 images. All of that is all delivered into the device for use offline. And, you know, within the limits of devices, we've done, you know, given as much information as we can within the devices. Now it's just up to everybody else out there to use it, interact with it, and love it.
And give as much as you take. Contribute by writing comments to update those places, create new places to feed back into the system, and just use it.
And so thanks again for jumping on and listening to our story about the ongoing operations of the ExplorOz Traveller App, and we hope to catch you on our next session.
Next session, yep.